The ceiling is the first thing. Isaac has been noticing this, how his eyes, upon waking, seek the highest fixed point, as though anchoring themselves before the body is ready to follow. The ceiling of his new apartment is pale, just like the previous apartment. A practitioner would call it off-white. He lies still for a moment. The window shows a strip of colourless morning. There are mornings where he wakes with a sensation of having just set something down. A weight recently released from the hands, the specific muscle memory of having held something for a long time and only just let it go. He lies still on these mornings, takes inventory and finds nothing he can point to, nothing that explains the sensation. After a moment, it resolves. He then gets up. The floor is cool. He fills the kettle, he stands at the counter while it heats. He's been doing a different inventory this week, not the emotional one, the other kind. The one that operates below emotion, in the register that processes the environment without reporting upwards unless asked. This register has always been his primary instrument, the watcher, the assessor, the part that notices before noticing becomes conscious. He's been checking what it notices now. He passed a man on the stairs of his building yesterday, young, well-built, a specific kind of presence that used to register, used to produce something in the lower register, a secondary awareness, the specific frequency he had known his entire adult life, the one that had been the source of everything, the protocols, the curtain gap, the managed trace, the letter, all of it downstream from that one frequency. It's gone. The register was quiet, not suppressed, not a feeling pushed down and held under, simply absent. The station off the air, the frequency that had organised his entire life, the one the system had called a biological misalignment, and which he had called, privately, himself, gone. He had stood on the stairs for a moment after the man passed. He had felt fine. He had felt entirely fine. And then he had felt something underneath the fine that he took upstairs with him and has been sitting with since. He makes the tea. He drinks it standing up. It occurs to him that he used to sit for tea, that there was a particular way of sitting. Knees up, a couch that was not his, specific quality of light. But he cannot locate it precisely, and not locating does not trouble him. It is the way with most memories now. They are there, clearly visible, like objects behind glass. He can see them, but he can't pick them up. His case supervisor, a pleasant woman named Dr. Fenn, calls it consolidation. The memories reorganise, she explained. They relocate to a different part of the architecture. Nothing is lost, she said, and looked at him with a practised calm. He believed her, or at least he had no reason not to. He rinses the mug, he dresses, the morning proceeds. At some point, standing in front of the mirror, he thinks of Ethan. The same face, the same particular stillness of it. The jaw that has always given him, he has been told, the appearance of certainty he does not always feel. He looks like a man who has slept well and has plans. He looks, he thinks, like himself, which is either reassuring or the most complicated thing he has considered this morning. The thought of Ethan arrives the way thoughts do now, without pull, without the undertow he vaguely remembers. He thinks, Ethan. He thinks, we were in love. He observes both thoughts the way he might observe the weather, noting it, registering nothing. His reflection looks back at him. He looks reasonable. He finishes dressing and leaves the apartment. The city outside is the same city it has always been. The curtains were the blue of faded things. Not quite grey, not quite the colour they had once been. Whatever that was. Ethan had chosen them at a superstore, or said he had, and Isaac had never thought to ask the story. There were details like that scattered through the apartment that belonged only to Ethan. The curtains, the ceramic dish by the door, no particular use, no particular origin. multiple books on the shelf Isaac had never seen him read. The light through the curtains in the evening came in at an angle. Ethan had stood in that light once and looked so entirely himself, not doing anything, not saying anything. The particular quality of him in the light, the way his face did what it did when no one was performing for anyone, which was open in a way that Isaac had no precise word for. Only the recognition that this was the face Ethan had before the world required him to have another face, and Isaac had felt something cold brush through him, which he'd taken at the time for happiness. He understood now it was the other feeling, the one underneath happiness, the knowledge that the thing you have is real, which means it can be lost. That was 3 weeks before the letter. But that evening, they didn't know about the letter. That evening, Ethan was standing in the angled light, eating an apple, reading something on his phone, and Isaac was watching him from the kitchen doorway, with the particular attention he had trained himself to conduct in private. To watch Ethan in front of others required a separate kind of discipline. To look at him the ordinary amount, to not look too long or too little. There were protocols, unwritten, that had become so interior to Isaac, he sometimes forgot there were protocols at all. Until a moment like this, when he was alone with Ethan, and the discipline could relax, and he could simply look. "You're doing the thing," Ethan said, without looking up. "What thing?" "The thing where you stand there." "I'm getting water." "You've been getting water for 4 minutes." Isaac went to the sink. He filled the glass, came to the couch and sat beside him. And Ethan lifted the phone to show him something. An article, a photograph, something briefly amusing. And Isaac looked at it. And then he looked at Ethan looking at it. And Ethan was laughing a little. A private laugh. The kind he made when he found something funny but didn't need to perform it. Outside, a vehicle passed on the street. Isaac listened to it pass. "You should close the curtains," he said. "They are closed." Gap. Ethan glanced at the window. He got up and adjusted the curtain. Not impatient, not dismissive, just matter of fact. The way you move through someone's small anxieties when you'd learned which ones were structural. He came back and sat closer than he'd sat before. Better? Yes. The vehicle was gone. The street outside was quiet. Isaac put his hand on the couch between them, not touching, but close enough that Ethan's warmth was there, ambient and steady. Ethan let 3 fingers rest against Isaac's knuckles for a second, then pulled back and went to his phone. This was how they had learned to be together. Proximity without gesture. Meaning conducted through small adjustments, degrees of closeness, the language of a shared interior life that never needed to announce itself. It was, Isaac had believed, the most private love could be, which made it also the safest. He was wrong, of course, but he didn't know that yet. He sat in the warm, curtain-filtered light and thought, "This is enough." Thought it with all the quiet desperation of a man who knows, somewhere below consciousness, that enough never stays.